Jeremiah 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachah HaKodash, and double honors to my apostles, a great millstone, peace and salutations. It's the hopeful members of the elect, the Bacharim, the house of David, that's been preordained, predestined to get delivered in these last times and to be the ruling governing body of the nation, Yasha'Allah. And I want to get a few videos. I want to go into what just happened recently. The U.S. did an airstrike on Iran's nuclear facilities, which is crazy. You know, why would you bomb a nuclear facility? You see? And I was listening to Dabu 7, and he was going into that, and that gives them, that justifies them into retaliating in the same way. All right? And he was going into how Iran is, their military is not that good, of course. It's decent, all right? And but they do have allies, however. But they are very good at cyber. They have a very good cyber intelligence, okay? So expect, something getting hit, us getting hit by a cyber attack. And who knows, a grid system can go off. And it's all orchestrated anyways. All right, so that's the time we're living in, all right? The war is coming, World War III is coming, the MOTB is going to come, but that's to come first. So this thing that's happening, it's going to probably die down. It's going to swell down a little bit, definitely, but we have to see this, all right? This has to happen, all right? This had to happen, okay? It was already written. So when the next chapter comes, when it's all out hell and the MOTB comes out, then World War III is going to be full on, you see? So we're like seeing the prelude. So let's watch this video from KTLA.
In an escalation that could spark all-out war in the Middle East, the United States has dramatically entered Israel's war against Iran.
American jets bombed 3 nuclear sites over in the Islamic Republic. One of those sites was the infamous mountain facility at Fordo, a major uranium enrichment center hundreds of feet underground. And in a speech to the nation, as you heard, President Trump said that all of the sites were, quote, completely and totally obliterated.
We have live team coverage tonight. KTLA's Sarah Welsh is getting a local reaction to the strikes. But first, to Rachel Menitoff now from the KTLA News Center with details of the military action. Rachel.
Karine, Rick, good evening to you both. President Trump said tonight if peace doesn't come quickly, he will go after additional targets in the region, saying most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. He also praised the U.S. military as the only one in the world to be able to do what was done tonight.
Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success.
President Trump addressing his decision to strike 3 of Iran's nuclear sites to prevent the country from building a nuclear bomb. He says Iran has repeatedly threatened to destroy Israel and says the U.S. completely obliterated its key nuclear enrichment centers, including the heavily fortified Fordo, a facility located 300 feet below the surface of the ground. The bomb used is tens of thousands of pounds and requires a special jet to deploy the weapon, equipment that only the U.S. possesses.
Right. America has the greatest military power in the world. Okay? No one can compare to our military. That's the blessing that the Most High gave Esau Edom. And his capital is America. Okay? America has, again, the best military, the best intelligence agency. America, we do it all. America does it all. All right.
More than a week ago, Israel launched a surprise attack on Iranian sites, and the country retaliated with a series of missile and drone strikes on Israeli infrastructure.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace.
The bully of the Middle East, the audacity. But Israel was the first to bully. If you look into history, they were the first to bully. 1948, the massacre of the Palestinians. Okay? They started this first. Amalek. All right, but it's prophecy because this was gonna happen. All right. Again, we're seeing the prelude. This might slow down a little bit, most likely, because the MOTB has to come. But we know that the MOTB is right there. It's already manufactured. It's there. It's been created. But to be mandated, Revelation 13, verse 16, to be fulfilled, that's going to come soon. Okay. And then a full on World War III. Okay. But Jeremiah 50, verse 45. And it says, therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he had taken against Babylon, America, okay, and his purposes that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock. You see, the least of the flock is Israel, okay? And this all started because of Israel. They did an airstrike. They sent airstrikes to Iran, and Iran retaliated. You know, Bibi Netanyahu, his excuse was Iran's days away from making a nuclear weapon. And they've been saying that for decades. Damn near decades. All right, I seen the post where it was a different prime minister saying this. Okay? It says, right, so the least of the flock Israel shall draw them out into what? World War III. They're drawing out America into this war that's brewing up. This is literally, this prophecy right here I'm reading is being fulfilled right before our very eyes. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, right? Because America is going to be nuked. Israel is going to be nuked. The difference is America will never be inhabited again. We will get the land of Israel once the fire settles and, you know, all that is contained. All right, it's cleansed. The land is cleansed. Okay? So that's what's going to happen. Damn. I don't know why my thing is.
On Iranian sites, and the country retaliated with a series of missile and drone strikes on Israeli infrastructure.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked President Trump and says this is the potential to usher in a new era of prosperity and peace in the Middle East.
America has been truly unsurpassed.
Officials in California and
New York is a devil. That dude is a demon. He sounds like a demon. You already know he's drinking adrenochrome.
New York say they're monitoring the situation for any potential domestic impacts. Governor Gavin Newsom writes, there's no specific or credible threat.
Yeah,
we are
wait
aware
till these sleeper cells get activated. These Iranian sleeper cells in other nations.
Of at this time, but he urges people to stay vigilant and report suspicious activity. Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle are offering mixed reaction. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina.
Yeah, that's about it right there. So let's go to Dabu now.
Some updated information here to the war front here between Israel or the United States and Iran. Iran responding to Trump saying that the war starts right now. Their main army branch saying that after U.S. forces struck the 3 nuclear sites, that this is all-out war. So we should expect anything in response, especially here in the homeland in the United States. To me, it's all part of a staged atmosphere and event.
Exactly.
Right now, Trump is trying to come out and say that it was a spectacular military success, that they hit the bully Iran, and that their facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. That's what Trump said. Satellite imagery shows something else. They show that Iran evacuated these sites days before. You can see here the loads of vehicles taking stuff out of these sites, and then they packed the tunnels full of dirt. And what this did is it took most of the brunt of the explosion, and they say the bases above ground can be rebuilt and that they will be back in operation, that this did not dismantle them. They say that 6 MOPs were dropped and 30 tomahawks striking these different areas. So Trump trying to claim that they've been wiped out and is trying to demand that they come to the table for peace. They are saying, no, it's all out war from here. You chose this, and there's going to be blowback big time. And I warned you of that. The president of Iran also coming out and saying that the United States should expect a response from this. Okay, so it's all there on the table. Anything happens, staged or not, they're going to be pointing the finger at this side, which is obviously Iran, Russia, China. Okay, satellite imagery.
Yeah, see?
Staged or not, they're going to be pointing the finger at this side, which is obviously Iran, Russia, China.
The allies. Ezekiel 38. Russia's going to come in. They're going to be a guard unto these nations. And it names them. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them. You know, Turkey is mentioned as well. I'm not going to get it. But Russia is going to be a guard unto them. And Russia's fighting a war themselves in Ukraine. All right. But sooner or later, it's all going to come in fruition. A third world war. Revelation 9 verse 12. One woe's past that happened. World War I, 1914 to 1918. All right. And behold, there come two woes more hereafter. World War II already passed. 1939 to 1945. And during that time, that's when America truly elevated. All right, and they became a world powerhouse. They created the hydrogen bomb, the atomic bomb. All right, you saw the aftermath of that with Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. Okay. And then what? Israel became an independent state in 1948, May 14th, on Rothschild Boulevard. No coincidence there, right? Okay. And then 10 years later, 1955, the Bretton Woods Conference, that made the U.S. dollar the world reserve currency. And now we're heading to another, so to speak, a Bretton Woods Conference 2.0. A different world reserve currency is going to be digital, all right? And it's ultimately going to be that chip. They're going to pass the CBDC. That's going to be for a short moment. But then that chip, that's the real ultimate goal. I don't know why my thing is buffering. Like, dude, just come on. Come on, bro. You know, whatever. So I want to get
From this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's all there on the table. Anything happens, staged or not, they're going to be pointing the finger at this side, which is obviously Iran, Russia, China. Okay, satellite imagery showing, again, damage done above ground, but all the claims on the ground are that things are fine underground. Even Russia stepping out and saying that, from what they can tell, everything seems to be fine, minor damage, but they are prepared, and other countries are prepared to supply Iran with nuclear warheads. Even if they can't make them, they'll just give them the nuclear warheads to defend them.
Exactly. I was actually thinking about that too. Like, man, like Iran has to get a nuclear weapon. You know, it just fits the movie that much better. Like, I just know they're gonna get a nuclear weapon, and that makes sense how Russia and China will just give them one. All right. Because America and Israel, they're gonna try everything they can to keep attacking those nuclear facilities, which is again crazy. You know, you're bombing a nuclear facility with nukes.
Themselves. That's what they're saying. That's what Russia is saying now. I told you, man, we're hot into World War III. You just haven't seen the nukes fly yet, and most of the sheep out there are not going to accept or think about it until they see or hear that.
Right.
We also have a massive GPS campaign going down in the Straits of Hormuz. They are attacking all the different vessels that are coming through there, jamming.
Yeah, and I already went to a lesson on that. If they shut down that Strait of Hormuz, which is a very vital point for transferring vessel ships which are distributed to different countries, that's going to disrupt world economies, and especially here in America. Oil prices, the gas prices will shoot up. You need gas for, because Iran, all right, they control that region, the Strait of Hormuz, and they actually let me find it. Let me just find it real quick, Salakia. Bear with me for 1 second, because I want to get this information right. All right, because I know that they distribute 20% of the natural gas, natural liquefied gas, crude oil. All right, and you need crude oil. Crude oil is, a lot of things are actually made from crude oil. Plastic, okay, tires. A lot of things are actually made from crude oil. You see? Actually, I might get it. Actually, hold on. Let me look that. Right, I found the information. Okay. Just be corrected. Okay, it's not Iran. All right, but the Strait of Hormuz is one of the most vital choke points for oil transport. About 20% of the global oil passes through it. It's the global oil that that passes through that Strait of Hormuz. Okay, but Iran controls that region. So correction, not Iran itself. All right. And bear with me for 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I looked up what products made of oil because yeah, a lot of things come from oil. So products made from oil, plastic, most of it, synthetic rubber like tires, nylon, polyester, okay, acrylic, styrofoam, PVC, plumbing pipes, ink, dyes and paint, adhesives and glue, detergents and soaps, cleaning products, cosmetics, deodorant, perfumes, transportation, obviously. Don't need to go into that because that's obvious. Pharmaceuticals, right? Because the Rothschilds, they control the, no, it was actually the Rockefellers that took control of the pharmaceutical companies, all right? And they got rid of the holistic methods and they incorporated petroleum oil, all right, into a lot of their medications, which is very harmful. Capsules, creams, and pill coatings, prosthetics, medical devices, IV tubes, catheters, gloves, home building, roofing shingles, insulation, paint and varnish, furniture, especially synthetic leather, carpets and flooring, electronics. So this is all from crude oil, okay? Which is like the foundation, okay? You see? Actually, let me just type that in. What is crude oil? What is crude oil? Okay. Crude oil is a natural and unrefined liquid made from ancient plants and animals buried underground for millions of years. The Earth is not a million years old. It's not. Okay. It's less than like 6,000, around that 6,000 mark. Anyways, it's pumped from the earth and used to make fuel like gasoline and products like plastic, rubber, and chemicals. All right, so unrefined liquid made from ancient plants and animals. Okay, so that's where it comes from. Okay, oil, everything you see basically, a lot of things you see, furniture, carpets and flooring, as it says, electronics, circuit boards, wiring, insulation. A lot of this comes from crude oil. Smartphones, computer, TVs, plastic casings, internal wiring, CDs, DVDs, headphones, chargers and cables, baby products, diapers, pacifiers, bottles, baby wipes. So crude oil isn't just energy, it's the raw material for the petrochemical industry, which transforms it into building blocks like ethylene, propylene, benzene, and more. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to get that breakdown. And again, I stand corrected. Not Iran itself, but they control access to that Strait of Hormuz. But the global oil is transported through through the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the global oil. Okay. So they shut that down. That's gonna hurt the American economy and other world economies. You see. So now I'm gonna pause this and I'm gonna get another video that I have queued up. Okay, now here is this guy. What's his name? I can't really see because the white make jets, but he goes into the big beautiful bill. Okay, so check this out. I'm a play it fast too.
A lot of people have been asking me to explain the bond provision in Trump's big beautiful bill a little bit more. And if you haven't seen my video about section 70302, I encourage you to go watch the video that this comment is from and then come back because this video will make a lot more sense if you do. So here's how a bond works as far as courts are concerned. A bond is essentially court insurance. We typically hear about it as it pertains to bail. It's to guarantee the defendant will show up for the court date or their bond will be forfeited. But that's not the only time courts...
Actually, Slakia, hold on, real quick, hold on. This is not the one. This is not the one. Hold on. Okay. Now this is the video. I actually had it right. He was going into the big beautiful bill and how the bonds work. All right. And yeah, I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna also go like into the big beautiful bill, just like a short summary, okay, what it's compromise of, what is it? All right, so let's go.
People have been asking me to explain the bond provision in Trump's big beautiful bill a little bit more. And if you haven't seen my video about section 70302, I encourage you to go watch the video that this comment is from and then come back because this video will make a lot more sense if you do. So here's how a bond works as far as courts are concerned. A bond is essentially court insurance. We typically hear about it as it pertains to bail. It's to guarantee the defendant will show up for the court date or their bond will be forfeited. But that's not the only time courts require a bond. In the case of a court injunction or a temporary restraining order, which is what we're looking at here, a bond is basically insurance for when a plaintiff seeks a court order to prevent or compel certain actions, guaranteeing the plaintiff will cover damages if the injunction is later deemed unnecessary. As it currently stands, judges have the right to waive this bond. And typically that's what they do in matters of public interest, like defending constitutional rights and keeping judicial review accessible to the public. This bill would take away the judge's option to waive the bond. So if this bill passes, any citizen, lawyer, or civil rights organization that sues the federal government over any unconstitutional or unlawful executive order would be required to put up a bond that they would then have to forfeit if that injunction is overturned by a higher court. This is incredibly risky for anyone that doesn't have very deep pockets, especially when there are so many federal judges, including in the Supreme Court, that are sympathetic to Trump's agenda. So the bond value is set at the judge's discretion. So couldn't the judge just make the bond $1 and keep things moving? No, not really. Judges are required to set a bond amount that the court considers proper to cover anticipated costs and damages of the litigation. So if the judges set a really low bond, the government could reasonably appeal the bond amount and say that wouldn't cover the potential damages of this injunction. And since we're talking about large government actions and how much it would cost to pause and restart them, we're looking at millions to hundreds of millions of dollars. So the immediate effects of this bill would be to make any existing injunctions unenforceable. And moving forward, it would make it very difficult for anyone to challenge Trump's executive orders and actions, unless they can afford to forfeit very, very large amounts of money. Effectively.
Right, so going into the comments I wrote, so basically whatever Trump passes as an executive order, that's it. No one can turn it over. And he put, which his name is We Make Jets, all right? That's the creator's name. That's the way I understand it, okay? So, yeah, whatever Trump passes as an executive order, that's it. No one can sue him, take it to court, all right? None of that, you see? So let's go into this big beautiful bill. All right, pause this. Okay, so I asked ChatGPT to do a quick breakdown in layman terms, not too long though, on this big beautiful bill. Okay, so taxes and small businesses boost. Let's just get the summary of all this. I'm not gonna read everything. So tax-paying families, what changes? You get extended tax cuts, bigger child credits, and relief on tips, overtime taxes. Okay, as you can see. Spending cuts and welfare changes. All right, it's going to hurt a lot of the nigga women. Okay, a lot of Jakes. Cuts Medicaid and SNAP, tighten eligibility. Defense and border security, adds $150 billion for military programs like drones, ships, and cyber defense. Hey, war, is brewing up. So drones, more drones are going to be created. All right, ships and cyber defense. And we live in the digital age. Allocates about $70 billion to border enforcement, including wall funding, hiring more agents, and ramping up deportations. A lot of the Northern Kingdom, you already see what they're going through, getting deported back to their homeland. Okay, and some of them, like I met someone when I was in Mexico in Tijuana. He got deported, but he's been in America since he was 2 years old. He's never been to Mexico. I mean, obviously, besides him being born there, but he's always, after that, when he was 2, he went to America. He lived in the Valley. If you know California, California, SoCal, you know the Valley. All right, it's part of LA County. All right, a little bit. It's like in that region, North Hollywood, Van Nuys, that region. But he's been there, ever since. Okay, so some of these people that are getting deported, they've been in America since they were babies. Probably never been to Mexico, besides them actually being born there. All right, but they never been. They never. I'll say they never went back to Mexico. I should say they never went to go visit. They always been in America, so they're getting sent to their homeland. That's really, it's really not like home. Okay, because they're used to this place. All right, they grew up here. They were raised here. Okay, you see. It says energy and clean tech scales back or phases out many of Biden's green energy tax credits, though some clean fuel incentives remain. Debt ceiling and deficit raises the U.S. debt limit by $4 trillion to avoid a government shutdown. The nonpartisan CBO estimates the bill will add about $2.4 trillion to the federal debt by 2034. Lord willing, we don't have that much time. So to summarize it all up, tax-paying families, okay, went to that. So you get extended tax cuts, bigger child credits, and relief on tips, overtime taxes. Low-income Americans, tighter rules for Medicaid and food assistance. Okay, so a lot of people will be cut off from there. Small businesses enjoy expanded deductions and faster write-offs on investments. National security, more funding for defense and stricter border law enforcement. Energy policy, fewer incentives for green energy, a push toward traditional energy sources. Overall impact mixed bag, tax breaks and defense boosts balanced by welfare tightening, but increases the national debt a lot. And we're already in debt, you know. It just said it raises the U.S. debt limit by $4 trillion to avoid a government shutdown. Okay. And the national security part, more funding for defense. Again, it said drones, ships, cyber defense. Again, Esau is preparing for war, and not just towards these other countries like Iran, soon to be Russia, and all its allies, but American citizens. You're going to start seeing more of military technology being deployed, all right, being distributed. Police robot dogs. And I had a dream of that. A lot of these robots, they're here. Elon Musk, he has his Tesla robots. I could see Trump, buying or somehow, some way, Elon giving his technology to the military. Okay, and they're gonna use that, or maybe it might be another corporation. We'll have to just wait and see. But you're gonna start seeing these robots being used in the military and added to the police force. Hell, who knows? Trump might make another type of authoritarian police force. All right, like the Gestapo or something, like a secret service. Like a secret police force. All right, and they might equip them with these robot dogs and robot soldiers. Okay, just speaking as a man. All right, at the end of the day, the scriptures say a time like never before is coming. Daniel's the 12th chapter. So I just want to get this quick summary of the big beautiful bill, just in case bros don't know, or a few sisters that watch. If you don't know it, this is what it is. You can screenshot it actually right here. Just screenshot it. Okay, I'll go down a little bit. Okay, this is the summary of it basically. All right. So the main thing I'm really just focused on is the national security part and the low income Americans, because that's going to affect a lot of Jake. A lot of Jake is on the system, especially so-called black women. Okay. So yeah, just want to make this quick lesson. Lord willing, it was edifying. On to the next one. Shalom.